This is the new Sony 70-200G f4 Mark II lens, the successor to my favorite lens for filming wedding ceremonies. If you're a wedding filmmaker like me that has been looking for an affordable, compact, and lightweight long lens that is perfect for filming wedding ceremonies, or if you need a long lens for filming interviews or really anything else for that matter, Sony has really knocked it out of the park with this lens, and I absolutely love it. Semi-spoiler for the conclusion of this video out of the way, today I'm going to be reviewing this lens, and I want you to know this video is not paid or sponsored by Sony, but they did send me this lens early so I could make this review, and I will be sending it back to them very soon. Now, as I said at the start of this video, I've always loved the 70-200mm focal length, especially for filming wedding ceremonies. Because whenever you're filming a wedding, you never know if you're going to be filming the couple at a wedding venue where you can get your tripods relatively close to the front so you can see the couple's faces, or if you're going to be stuck up in the balcony of a church, what feels like a quarter mile away from them, and you're just zooming in like, I hope I can get close enough. In situations like this, having a versatile zoom lens that can hit a variety of longer focal lengths is critical, and that's what a 70-200 provides. Up until this point, my go-to 70-200mm lens has been the original Sony 70-200 f4, which I have an entire review about that I will link to up in the corner and down in the description. To sum up that review, that original 70-200 f4 is dramatically lighter weight and smaller than a traditional f2.8 70-200, while still providing plenty of compression and bokeh, all in a much more affordable package than most 70-200s. Looking at this new 70-200 Mark II from Sony then, you can basically look at my review for the old 70-200 and just crank everything to 11. If you thought the older 70-200 was lightweight, this new one is even lighter. If you thought the old one was sharp, this one is even sharper. If you thought the old one was compact, this new one is even compacter. For real, look at these lenses side by side. And here, I'll throw in my old Canon EF mount 70-200 as well. Look at this behemoth next to these little babies. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We got Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. Now, that said, there is a reason that this lens is so compact, and that's because it's not always compact. Yes, just like many popular lenses, such as a 24-70mm, for example, this lens has an extending barrel, and it actually gets pretty long. Fully extended, this lens actually gets longer than the original 70-200 f4, but I don't think that that extension is a bad thing, and I wish that more lenses would offer this if it meant that they could be more compact when zoomed out. Interestingly, Sony has told me that this new 70-200 could have been even smaller, a whole inch shorter, but they chose to keep 1 inch on the length so that this lens would be compatible with their 1.4x and 2.0x teleconverters. So you can actually turn this lens into a 400mm if you want to, which is pretty cool. What's also cool, and I don't think that I've ever said this for a telephoto lens that I've reviewed before, but this lens is also a killer macro lens as well. I don't know what magic Sony is doing in their labs, but this lens has a minimum focusing distance of 3.5 inches at 70mm and 7.5 inches at 200mm. You can get super close to things. So if you're a wedding filmmaker that has been looking for a lens that can film a ceremony and then film a close-up of a wedding ring, this one might be the all-in-one lens that fits the bill. As far as other features go, on the outside of this lens, Sony includes the majority of switches and buttons that you expect on one of their G lenses. So you get an autofocus manual focus switch, a zoom lock switch, a switch that lets you toggle between full focus and macro focus, 2 customizable buttons, and an optical stabilization switch, which, yes, this lens does have optical stabilization built in, which works great. The only thing that this lens does not have is the addition of an aperture control ring like you would see on one of Sony's GM lenses. It's a bummer, but if it helps keep the weight and size down, it's fine. Speaking of the weight, if you want specifics, this lens weighs only 794 grams, down from 840 grams on the original 70-200 f4, and a much heavier 1,045 grams on the 70-200 GM Mark II. I'm really impressed, and when you hold this lens in your hands, I think you will be too. Now, all of that size and weight reduction would be ultimately meaningless if the image quality of this lens sucked. Thankfully, the 70-200 has a great pedigree, with the original version of this lens being incredibly sharp, and I'm happy to tell you that this lens looks to be even sharper. It just looks great. And keeping in mind that it can be a macro lens now, this is even more impressive, because anytime you're shooting anything macro, you definitely notice if things are not sharp. Autofocus performance is fast and snappy too. Sony says they put the same 4 XD linear autofocus motors from their 70-200 GM2 lens into this one, so it's great. Now, if you've watched my review for the older 70-200G lens, you'll know that in regard to manual focus, that lens had a very slight amount of lag when focusing, mostly due to it being a much older focus-by-wire lens. Thankfully, with the new 70-200 Mark II, there's no lag when manually focusing, and it is incredibly fast and responsive. Sony has also included their DMF feature, where you can have your camera set to autofocus, but if you want to change to manual focus, all you have to do is rotate the focus ring. You can turn this feature on and off using a switch on the side of the lens. It's great. In regards to focus breathing, this lens is also quite good, with a minimal amount of breathing on my A7S III, which at the time of making this video does not have focus breathing compensation yet as a firmware update. Would love that at some point, Sony. Of course, if you have a newer Sony camera with focus breathing compensation, you definitely will not notice any focus breathing anyways. In regards to this lens being only an f4, I'm going to refer back to my argument that I made whenever I reviewed the previous version of this lens. With the current cameras getting better and better in low light, where you can just crank the ISO on something like an A7S III or FX3 without worrying about noise destroying your image, there's a much greater argument to be made for using f4 lenses than there has really ever been in the past. What you lack in low light capabilities, you can make up for in ISO performance with most cameras. So if you are someone that films with a full frame Sony camera and you are looking for a zoom lens, I don't think that you need to break the bank buying an f2.8 version of this lens. You can just buy the f4 and increase your ISO to compensate if needed and save some money in the process. Speaking of money, I'm always glad to see a new lens for a mirrorless camera come in at under $2,000, because it feels like the prices keep on going up from most lenses these days. So when Sony told me that this lens was going to cost $1,700, I was really happy. So should you buy one? Well, if you are a wedding filmmaker that needs a super lightweight and compact ceremony lens, or if you're a documentary or commercial filmmaker that wants a lightweight and compact interview lens, I think that the 70-200G f4 Mark II is an absolutely stellar choice. Keep in mind that for weddings, you may only be needing this lens for filming a wedding ceremony, and that means that you're stuck transporting at least one 70-200mm, if not 2 of them, to every wedding. And if you can dramatically decrease the size and weight of the gear in your bag, which will make transporting all of your gear and filming on the wedding day easier, this lens is kind of a no-brainer. So, I'm actually going to say something that I've never said in a lens review before. I would not buy one of these lenses. I would buy 2 of them. And of course, if you're getting ready to type, Matt, I'm glad this lens is under $2,000, but the price is still a bit high for me, well, think about this good news. The odds are that if Sony keeps making the original 70-200G lens, they're probably going to drop the price. And even if they don't, the odds are that there are going to be a lot of filmmakers and photographers selling their Mark I lenses for a Mark II, meaning that you should be able to pick up 1 or 2 70-200mm lenses for a much more affordable price. So yes, this new lens is great, even if you don't buy it. I will link up in the corner and down in the description to my original 70-200 f4 review, so if you're interested in that lens instead, which is still an absolutely fabulous lens, you can watch that review. I'll also link down below to my color presets, Who is Matt Lutz, because I've colored all of the footage you've seen in this video with these presets, and if you want colors like these in your videos, you can get them down below. Down below, you will also find a link to my quick tips guide to book more wedding film clients. If you're a wedding filmmaker that wants to book more clients and make more money, I would love for you to check out this guide. It's completely free and you can download it, the link in the video description. Thanks so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and have a great day.